Gas stations may be a dying business. Some are trying to evolve and change. Others are happy to go the way of the dinosaurs whose juice they actually sell. Joining me to discuss that is our good friend Mark from the Tesla Life. The life that he has is the one that we're going to discuss. No, I think we'll just talk about gas stations. I'm Brian. Welcome to Futuraza. So, Mark, you found this interesting story this week that's kind of fun for us, maybe not so much for
maybe
the
not
gas
for the
stations.
people that own the gas station. Yeah, exactly. Parkland is a group based out in Western Canada that own a number of gas station properties, and they are trying to downsize somewhat, putting up for sale over 157 properties across Canada, as they look to reduce their holdings in the gasoline industry. And this is a bit of a trend that is happening that we've seen with others as well. Parkland is having a little bit of difficulty in selling these. They've hired a couple of different firms to help them now sell these properties because they have been on the market a little bit longer than they expected. So I think, Brian, that some people looking at opening a business may look at this gas station retail type business and say, you know what, this may be a bit of a dinosaur. Am I going to get involved with a gas station property that's going to cost me $1 million or $1.5 million to put in place? And what kind of revenues am I going to be able to recoup and pay for that? Where's the ROI? And I'm thinking that some people are starting to realize that the writing's on the wall.
Well, I think you need to hear me out because that Henry Ford fella may have those noisy contraptions on the road, but I sell hay and boarding and shoe services for horses. Buy my shop, won't you?
Don't forget buggy whips. Those are high quality items there.
Well, those have had a different resurgence. I don't know if these will come back quite the same way. So if you're not gonna sell gasoline, what do you do with the station? Well, On the Run has some ideas. I'll allow your cookies, sure. They've got some ideas. Is this a good idea? What are they up to?
Yeah, well, On the Run has realized that, of course, their business is really not gasoline. It never has been. Their business is pulling in people that are going to spend a few minutes filling up their tanks so that they can come into the convenience store and purchase convenience store items or lottery tickets or whatever a person needs as a quick fix before they're on their way after filling up their car. So why not make a change to allow others with motor vehicles to maybe charge instead of fill up and still get some of the rewards that those people are going to buy coffees and lotto tickets and snacks and overpriced chocolate bars all at the same place that gasoline drivers are doing. So it's a great idea to continue business.
I had a chance to talk with them at Fully Charged in Vancouver last year, and it was fascinating. What they were saying is, this was something they had just started talking about. This is an expansion up there in the Northeast. And the big thing they've got, and I don't remember the name of the company, but it's a company in California that makes these chargers. They do what I call filling the bucket with water before the locomotive arrives. You remember those big water barrels that you would see in old-timey movies for the steam train, for the steam locomotive? Those slowly fill with water all day and all night, and then when the train pulls in, it dumps the water in. So these little stations don't have to bring in, a huge amount of power from the sidewalk.
Basically, they're trickle charging, aren't they?
They're trickle charging their batteries and fast charging you from the batteries. The only time it doesn't work is on busy holiday weekends when they're at capacity. The rest of the time, it works great. And as of the time I had talked to him, he said that they were still virtually never relying on straight just, 8 kilowatt charging, 9 kilowatt charging, that they were still able to get you juice from the battery to get you on your way, because it's very rare for a stall to be used back to back to back. It just works, and they can do it that way. And that also, I assume, presumably allows for time of use pricing, overnight charging, which is a good way to save some money.
Exactly.
Can you think of anybody else doing this?
Circle K has started to do this, another large convenience store in North America. And actually, their model started over in Europe, in Norway. They started to put together, convert gasoline service centers to electric service centers only. Now, in the United States and Canada, they haven't gone that far yet, but what they are doing is adding different chargers to a gasoline station. So they're giving the ability to both charge an EV as well as gas up a regular car. They're providing space for both. And that gives them the ability that as the transition happens, they still get the customers on both sides.
I can see your house from here. The other thing is, the idea of bringing people in with gasoline only works if the people actually come in. And if you are required to stand there with your hand on the handle for the full 5 minutes it takes to fuel up, then you have to take more time to go in, use the bathroom, get something to eat. If you can just plug in and know that you're free for 15, 20 minutes, now your Subway has customers. Now your Wendy's or Dairy Queen or whatever you're putting inside of your convenience store to add value has more value, has more business. And we are seeing a lot more of that. And Circle K, while this map is not contiguous, you can see how rapidly it's expanding by how many have been put up for, coming soon, permitted, presumably. And that seems to be working. Another one that we know of, and this is also big in the US at least, is the Shell Recharge. Same kind of deal. What do you think of this?
Exactly. It's again, the writing seems to be on the wall. Some people are paying attention and they're starting to do this transition, whether they're catering to EV suppliers as well. There was an article just last week about Shell divesting interest in 1,000 gasoline stations over the next 2 years, so they can build up more EV structures at different Shell stations in the world. So this is more of it, where they're starting to understand that EVs are going to be the customers of the future, and they have to start transitioning a number of their locations in order to bring those customers in.
And it makes sense. Shell has more than just a gas station at a lot of these locations. They are not just convenience stores. They're, in a lot of cases, mini marts with a deli, with a hot counter, with other things that you would want. In Europe, Shell has a commercial program where it's not open to you or me, it's open to the whole city. If the whole city says, look, you switched from incandescent or what were those yellow ones? Phosphorus lights?
Yeah.
You were pulling 400, 500, 600 watts, maybe 1,000 watts out of this light pole. Why don't you put in level 1 charging? Shell has, and I got to interview a very reluctant rep from the company who was pleased with how it went. She was afraid that I was going to be, snarky and evil on account of them being a Shell station and me being an EV guy. But they've got this clever system that just goes inside the light pole. They cut a hole in the existing street lamp, jam the electronics inside, and now there's a plug. You can just plug in. And the city has to approve it. And then they just roll through the whole city and go street after street until it's done. And now the whole neighborhood has level 1 charging from existing infrastructure with very little additional effort.
Yeah, it's definitely, some are paying attention because we're getting this transition with a number of companies. Still not everybody. We've got the slow movers that still maybe believe that EVs are just a trend that will go away, but that's not going to be the case. And the ones that don't move, unfortunately, are the ones that are going to die.
That's right. That is very, very true. Here we've got Buc-ee's. Buc-ee's have been adding charging stations to a lot of their locations. That's a whole lot of gas pumps, but they've also got EV charging. I have charged a Tesla at a Buc-ee's because it was easy and I needed the juice.
I would say that Buc-ee's is probably the mecca of gas stations when it comes to 130 pumps at a single location. Are now adding superchargers to every new Buc-ee's that opens. There's always a row of superchargers in the area of 16 to 24 stalls.
And I would say Buc-ee's is the perfect place for a 20-minute stop. You've got infinite beverage choices, or as close to it as the confines of our universe will permit. You've got the cleanest restrooms in the business, and you've got some amazing hot food, fudge, all that good stuff. It's a system that just kind of works. So, I guess what I'm telling you is I have bad news. I am not going to purchase one of your many gas stations, Parkland. I, as much as I like you, I think these 157 convenience store and fuel stations, by the way, that's only like 3% of the 4,000 they own. I can only imagine how bad they must be in terms of prospects if these are the 3% they want to get rid of. And it seems to fit because they're on their second or third partnership trying to get rid of them.
Exactly. There's another chain in Canada and the United States called Irving Oil, based on the east coast of Canada. Actually, Irving has a large refinery in St. John, New Brunswick, that provides about 2/3 of the gasoline to Maine that state uses. And Irving has these gas stations all over the place throughout Maine and New Hampshire, and of course, Atlantic Canada. And they have been going through issues in selling off some of these real estate packages as well. They're starting to see issues with the amount of fuel that they're selling. Now, this isn't attributed to EVs alone. This is not the cause of it, but it is another retail gasoline organization that is having issues in reselling some of their retail properties off to others.
Good gravy. Look at this map. That's beautiful. This is their Find an EV charging station. Wow. They've got juice everywhere you look. A few days ago, I ran a video with, in conjunction with Jim from the Iowa Tesla guy and Brian Reby from Brian Reby Drives Electric, trying desperately to dispel the myth of EV range anxiety. And in the comments, of course, I had someone say, well, sure, that's great until the power goes out and you have to drive somewhere else to get your power for your car. So I said, when the power goes out, gas stations also lose power. You can't pump gas when there's no power at the station. He said, yeah, but I can drive 20 miles down the road and get gas. And I said, if the power's on somewhere, they've got plugs, they've got outlets. Power, there's more plugs in the world than there are gas stations. It's just how our society works. It's how... I just don't know what to say to these people, I guess.
It is true that there's power available almost everywhere in North America. Just even through, as you mentioned, a 120 plug. That can even get you enough juice to get you to another fast charger or another L2. Just stopping at a gas station and asking them to use their 120 plug can get you another few miles down the road to a plug that works.
I saw a post on X. Someone said, I'm staying with my friends this week. We did a road trip, and they said, hey, if you got your mobile adapter, just plug in on our 110 while you're here. And he said, so I did. Why not? And people in the comments, oh, like that's going to get you enough juice. Well, yeah, some days it does, even if you're on vacation.
Exactly.
Once you get where you're going, are you really doing another 100, 200 miles a day? You can add 40, 50 miles overnight easily. You're fine until you head back home.
So many people with an EV can just charge up off that 110 because, like you said, 40, 50 miles in a day or an 8 or 10 hour charging session, and you're only doing on average 30 miles a day. So guess what? You're banking 20 miles every time that you plug in for that period of time. So by the time the weekend rolls around, you've got yourself a couple 100 miles of extra juice saved up over that week.
When I go to Portland, it's 120 miles round trip, depending which part I go to. I come back home, I'm at, well below my 80% state of charge. And it might take me a day and a half to get my charge back on my 115 socket that I've got, but I get it back. And even if I needed to go to Portland back-to-back days, I still can do that. I've got enough range to do that. And if I needed a supercharger, I could always just hit one. But I really only do that when I'm on the road, when I'm out and about on my adventures, as I sometimes do, which means that I should mention on April 28th, I'm going to be at the Oregon Electric Vehicle Association Ride and Drive event. Here it is, the Drive Electric Earth Month Test Drive and Information Expo. It's on April 28th, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. I'll be speaking not once, but twice. I'll be saying two things. There will be cars shown off outside. Last year we had a e-Cascadia. This year it's being held at the Daimler location. And that means you'll definitely get to see their electric truck. It's really great. That's Gary. He was going to do a presentation. There's all kinds of people here. At some point, it might even scroll to me, so I should hurry up. That crowd is definitely talking to me. This gentleman is an electrician. Maybe he will wire up your house. He's not licensed in my state yet, or I would definitely harass him. It's just so much good fun. And you can do test drives. We might even be able to get you some free lunch out of it, because there's last year we were able to give people who did test drives a voucher to go to the Euro stand and get themselves a Euro. Old Detroit Electric there. That was pretty neat. So, in the comments, what do we miss? What do we misunderstand? Are you investing in a gas station? Let us know, and we will reach out and contact the proper authorities to make sure you get the care and attention you need, because we're deeply concerned about your state of well-being, if that's the case. Otherwise, head on over to the Tesla Life, see what they're up to. There might even be some clever information over there, because there always is. The rest of you guys, smack buttons, subscribe, like, do the usual things, and stay juicy. And I cannot wait to hear from you clever robots on the next one.